the important facts about the OBE, that is outcome-based education, and what are the different implementation policies, what are the smallest definition which are related with the OBE process. Then I'll share some of the case studies and what the important strength or the weakness the universities are having these days uh, as part of my experience with the NBA process. So that I'm going to enlighten you all. Um, Thank you once again, Dr. Sandeep, for inviting me to have a talk with the audience with this EICT Academy course. So here I'm going to share my slides. So hope you can all see the first slide of the presentation. The title is OBE, the facts, the implementation policies, and some of the case studies.
Yes, sir. Slides are visible.
Okay, thank you. Uh, Myself is Professor Ghanshyam Singh. I am working with the Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering as introduced by Dr. Sandeep. I work for my university, that is National Institute of Technology. We do call it as Malviya National Institute of Technology, Jaipur. And here's my email ID is also displayed over the screen. You can note it down. If you have any queries, even at the later stages, you can always write to me related to the OBE or any other particular research field where I am working upon, where my group is working. So before I start with the enlightening you about the OBE process, uh, we need to know some of the facts which have been given for the employability of Indian graduates. And recently, I'll not say the recent 4 5 years back, World Economic Forum report, they come up with a report and that says that unemployment rate in India by 2020 it got increased to 23% from 10.4%. And the main reason for this difference was the employability skill gap which our students are having. Similarly, most importantly, a more popular report which was published by the NASCOM, which is an association of computer science graduates and the companies, way back in 2011, they announced that the 25% of graduates with engineering backgrounds are employable out of 3 million joining the IT workforce. So that was a very shocking figure for all of us as being a part of the university system, that only 25%, only one fourth of our graduates are actually eligible to join IT related jobs out of the 3 million, that is 30 lakhs. And if we talk about the other streams like science and humanities, only 15% graduates are employable. So that is a very shocking data for all of us, because we are also working with the university systems, and we need to focus on our strategy so that we can increase this data. We should make our students, or we should make our graduates in a way that that most of them should be employable with the some of the domain. And the similar kind of data is for other streams also. From a global perspective, the same report that is released by the World Economic Forum in 2020, they also stated that the 40% employees would always need to learn new skill in the coming years, because the computer science and the IT industry and even other technological based domain, they require the new skill to be adopted by the employees. So somewhere around 40 to 50% of employees, they would need to learn new skill in the coming years. So that is again a very important fact, and we all need to go with these reports. Similarly, there is a company that is known as Aspiring Minds. They have recently got a new name, that is SHL, and that is the talent management service. They conduct computer-based test, which is popularly known as MCAT, and lakhs of students from all across the country, more than 700 engineering institutes, they participate on their test. And the measured parameter through that test, that they do check the students efficiency and the ability on business communication and English, the logical and the numerical skills, analytical and problem solution skills, and coding as well. So these were the measured parameters. And what do they find from that test? That 40% of graduates even cannot employed in any domain or sector of the knowledge economy. So that's another shocking data for us, that are 47% of graduates, they cannot employed in any domain of any sector. And if we talk about the employability figures, only 18% are suitable for software services, only 3.67%, nearly 4%, are good enough for developing the software products, and only 41% are good enough to join BPO, which is actually is not a recommended job for an engineering graduate. But even then, only the 41% candidates are eligible to join business processing outsourcing jobs. Similarly, out of the same data, they have come up across some data which are even more shocking for us as far as our country is concerned. Only 3.84%, that is somewhere around 4% graduates are startup ready. So we are not being able to produce the graduates who can be the entrepreneur in coming years. Similarly, 6.56% are design job ready, and the similar kind of trend can also be observed for other core engineering jobs. So these are the important facts which we actually need to know before we make policies or before we implement policies which are good for producing the good graduate students. Like our country, India, which is actually a third biggest higher education systems, we are only way behind from China and USA, and we are having more than 1,000 universities and autonomous higher education institution and over 50,000 colleges and standalone institutions. So we are a very big higher education systems we are having. But even then, our gross enrollment ratio is somewhere around 26.3%, which is inching towards 30%. We are going to achieve the 30% figure. But as far as the other countries are concerned, they are very much way ahead from us. Like this graph shows uh, so this graph gives an effect on the ratio of GER and EER. GER is the gross enrollment ratio, which considers all students enrolled regardless of their age, while an eligible enrollment ratio, that is EER, that focus on the number of students enrolled who have completed. So there is a difference between GER and EER. EER is related with the number of the students who have completed a specific level of education, like we say 12th grade. So ER provides more realistic measures of to assess the situation. So if you see this graph here, you can see the India is way behind with most of the good countries like US, Germany, France, UK, Brazil. Our GR and ER, GR is very low, that is 26% only. Like our ER is 63.7, like almost for 64% students do the 12th grade from our country, but out of that only 26% students goes for the higher studies. Similarly, we are only ahead of South Africa, the Pakistan, or the Bangladesh, which is actually not a good situation for us. So our GR, so we as a part of the university system, we need to focus on these data, these facts, before we implement any sort of the education policies, whether it is outcome based education, whether it is a new education policies. We need to look upon the policies and the implementation processes so that we can actually in 21-22, which gives the data for last 5 years from 18 to 22. Here you can see there is a slight increase in our GER, which is a positive trend, but still our GER is not more than 28.3% in 22, and as on 24-25 it should be somewhere around 30 and 31%. Here the important thing is you can see the GER data is good for female as compared to the male. So females are a little way ahead than the males. So this particular graph shows for the India's gross enrollment ratio only. Now, looking upon these facts, the government has started various programs and motivated the universities to go for those programs. And one of the that program is outcome-based education. The question is why this particular policy is important to be adopted by the universities, the institutions, the colleges, and even the school systems, because in a fast-paced education era, This OBEs emerged as the catalyst for the student success. And according to a recent survey by the Association of American Colleges and Universities, see, the countries which are way ahead than us, they have implemented the outcome-based education way before we started thinking about this. And what they have observed, that they have observed the remarkable 25% increase in student engagement, transformative 15% surge in graduation rate. So their graduation rates were increased by 15%. Similarly, it also led to a 20% boost in institutional effectiveness. When we say institutional effectiveness, means institutions were more effective in producing the effective students and delivering the effective education to them to foster a dynamic learning environment. So higher education institutions, they have started raving about the practical adoption of OBE, that is outcome-based education, within their campus. So these are the facts. That is why we should go for OBE. Why? See, before we accept any new policy to implement in our university systems or into the colleges, we need to look upon the facts. And these are the facts which actually motivate us to go for such policies. If I define the outcome-based education, that is OBE, so in short, we can define that it is going to be a process where we will define in advance that what student should know and what he will be able to do by the end of their education. And it is more or less also, you can say it is a more or less a performance-based education. Rather than just providing them a degree and then asking and then expecting them from them that they will go into the market and search their jobs according to their knowledge, but that is not the good criteria. But the criteria is that we should define at the start of the course only that what the student should know and what he will be able to do by the end of their education. That is the part of the outcome based education. And prime objectives with the OBE system is to encourage student engagement. When I'm saying student engagement, that means they will be going for the active learning, they will be going for the brainstorming, they will be going for the group discussion and group teams, teamwork, many other ideas. We will look upon to the each one on the later slides. The second objective, an important objective, is that there should be both kind of outcomes, academic as well as non-academics. When I say academics, then the student should have the critical thinking, the problem solving mind. They should be able to work in the team. So teamwork is also an important, and they should be very much skilled in terms of the communication and to serve to the society. So there are various points which we need to consider when we apply for the outcome based education. We also expect one of the important objectives, if we are implementing the outcome based education in an effective way, then we can then it will help our student to gain a deeper understanding of core topics. So core topics is very important because these days most of the students are running behind the IT topics only, whether they are from the other streams. Even then, so more or less, if you have the feedback from the companies who are coming to our campuses for recruitment, they will always give this particular feedback that the students are not very good in their own core topic. But if you are going to apply the outcome based education in the effective way or in a proper way, this will definitely help the students to gain a deeper understanding of core topics as well. Also, in the last, the institution will be able to measure educational effectiveness. So when I say educational effectiveness, so what could be the educational effectiveness for the institution? That means they will be able to measure the success rate. When I say success rate, means how many students are appearing in exam and how many students are actually graduating from that particular exam, particular course. That could be then one of the effectiveness. How many students are being trained and placed by the or getting recruited by the recruitment companies. So TNP activities is also the kind of measured effectiveness. We can also check their effectiveness, the kind of projects they indulge during their final years. So there are various parameters by which the institution can also measure their educational effectiveness. So that is also the part of the OBE. How does the OBE system works? Initially, we start setting up some goals where we define what students should know and should be able to do. See, all the universities are more or less following the similar kind of curriculums, but according to the situation and according to the region or according to the location, the students may adopt a different kind of strategies, different strategies to change their curriculum, to make some revisions in their curriculum, so that we can prepare the students according to the location wise as well. And in that era, in that process, one of the good thing is to develop the curriculum, to create the curriculum that helps students to achieve the goals. So initially we set some goals, then we develop the curriculum to achieve the goals. We choose the teaching method. How should we teach them? How should we, what type of method we should use to teach our students to achieve the goals in time. Similarly, to assess the students' learning, that is very important. See, the delivering the lecture, delivering the talk to the students is a different thing, but whether they are actually learning or not, we must assess the students' learning in terms of their student performance, whether they have achieved the goals or not. And improved learning is also the another aspect of an OBE, where we use student learning outcomes to improve the curriculum and the teaching methods. So these are the important point where we can check our students' knowledge. If we talk about this, hello, Sandeep,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I have muted now.
please mute your system. Yeah, thank you. So there are the important steps to implement the outcome-based education. More or less, you'll find if you're going into a university where the OBE systems are implemented, you'll find that these are the important steps, or these are the practices which they might be following. Number one, that every institute will have a particular mission and a vision. Then they must have established the program educational objectives. What are the PEOs, program educational objectives, and the program learning outcomes? I'll let you know in the coming slides, but I am just here giving you the important steps to implement the outcome-based education. So every institute will have a mission and vision. They must have established the program educational objectives. They must develop the program learning outcomes to create a curriculum mapping for the curriculum according to their POs and the course objectives and the program objective. They need to develop assessment strategies. These assessment strategies can be different for different universities, and as per their curriculum and their student needs, they need to use rubrics. Rubric is the kind of guidelines for some to achieve something. Then they also must be ready to implement the changes which are occurring in the technology, and there should always be a possibility to adopt the improvements. That means the continuous improvement. So these are the important steps which are needed to implement the outcome based education most effective way. So now I'll come one by one, all the point to one by one. So now what is a program educational objectives? In short, we call it as PEOs. So these are the statements which define the career and the professional accomplishment that every graduate should achieve. So that is the important thing, that every university which are adopting the OBE system, they must define some statement where they will clearly define that each and every graduate will be achieving this particular career and professional accomplishment by the day of they get their degree. They should also these statements are actually the promise to the students that they will learn and be able to do in their program. Similarly, these POs provide the way where we can define how to monitor the student progress and how to evaluate the effectiveness. Some of the examples of POs is like, we can say always, how should we apply the engineering design to solve the problems? How should our students should be able to communicate effectively with the different audiences? How should they will be able to recognize the ethical and professional responsibilities? Can they work effectively on a team? How can they learn and apply their knowledge to the new fields? Can they develop the understanding of the importance of lifelong learning? That is very important, because it's not, these students are not going to be the only the ex-students for our university, but they will be the ambassador for our university. So we must prepare them in a way that they should do their job for the lifelong, according to the lifelong learning. They should able to contribute to the eradicate the economic and environmental problem for the society. So these are the some important examples of POs. We can set our POs in a way that they should cover these points. Similarly, there are program learning outcomes, and these are the measurable statements that describe the knowledge of all the skills that students achieve upon completion of the academic program. So, when we define the PLOs, we must include these things that are each and every students who will be completing the program will have this particular of knowledge or this particular of skill. And these PLOs actually emphasize the overall learning outcomes of a program rather than focusing on individual courses. So in a particular degree program, you can find that there could be 40 courses or 50 courses. So usually the PLOs are defined for a program, not for a particular course. So these PLOs are also used to assess the effectiveness of a program and to ensure that the students are meeting the expected learning outcome. Now, some of the examples this we can write the PLO in terms of this, that the students will be able to apply the principle of, like if they are studying a particular field, let's say we are saying the analog communication, then they will be able to apply the principle of analog communication to solve the real world problem. Students will demonstrate proficiency in a specific skill like coding through the specific method in Python. So we can say that this is how we can define the PLOs. Some of the type of learning outcomes is the learning outcomes could be of cognitive in nature, affective in nature, or psychomotor in nature. When I'm saying the cognitive in nature means we are focusing on the acquisition of knowledge and intellectual skills. When I'm saying affective outcomes, that means that focuses on the development of attitudes, the values, and the emotional intelligence. And when I'm talking about the psychomotor, it focuses on the development of physical skill and abilities of the students. Similarly, what we mean by the curriculum mapping, if you remember, we were talking about the steps to implement the OBE effectively in a university system. There was a point where it was written that we should have a curriculum map. So what is a curriculum mapping? Curriculum mapping is a visual guide to align the curriculum with the educational standards and goals. We need to define our curriculum in a way that whatever the standards and the goals we have set, they should match, they should have the connection with the curriculum. And that curriculum mapping shows where within a curriculum students learning outcomes are taught and how they are going to be assessed. So what is the how does the curriculum mapping impact teaching and learning? That is a very important. We can promote the student engagement if we are doing the curriculum mapping in an effective way. We can prepare our instructional planning in a better way. We can have the effective collaboration with the R&D units and with the industry. We can improve our learning experience. We can track the students' progress, which is very important for any systems to follow or to implement the OBE most effective way, because we need to track the students' programs. And when I'm talking about this tracking the students' progress, I'm talking about the each and every student, whether the student is a brilliant one or whether the student is a little with some weaknesses. So we should be able to track the students' progress at every stage. And we also should be able to do the personalized instructions if we are doing the curriculum mapping. Now, after all, after implementing these things, we need to have some assessment strategies, and the type of assessments which we are usually following at our universities. I'm sure that you must all be following these things also, like diagnostic assessment, which is at the beginning of a course to identify prior knowledge and learning gaps. Like before I start any course in my class, usually in the first day of the class, you usually start talking with the students and to check their prior knowledge and the learning gaps for a particular field. Similarly, we may have a formative assessment, which is related with the ongoing assessment throughout the course or unit to monitor whether the students are learning or not and to get their feedback. So this could be the midterm assignment, midterm test, or some assignments. Then the next is summative assessment. This summative assessment is taken place at the end of the course. After completing the course, we used to determine the students' final knowledge and the grade in terms of the grades by taking some exams or the paper or giving some project works. Then we have a peer assessment where the student assess each other works, providing feedback and promoting learning through collaboration. So this is also very important. If you are not practicing this peer assessment is also a good thing. Try to involve your students to assess each other works by having some kind of presentations or some kind of collaborative works. Similarly, the last one is the authentic assessment, which evaluates the student learning through real world tasks and scenarios where we allow our student to demonstrate their skill and knowledge in a practical context. So these are the some of the important assessment types. Now, various of assessment method which I'm sure that you all might be knowing about these things, like exams, which are the standardized tests to assess the knowledge and the understanding. We sometimes gives float essays, and expect a student to support to submit the reports. So essay and reports could also be the one of the assessment method where we allow in-depth analysis and the critical thinking for the students. We do floats projects which encourage the collaboration and the application of knowledge to the real world problems. We can invite them to present their work. So presentation could also be another assessment method where we can assess their communication skills and how they deliver their knowledges. The case studies, which provide opportunities to the student to analyze the complex situation and to apply their knowledge for the real world problems. Reflection can also be the another assessment method where we encourage each student to think critically about their learning and experiences. Survey and focus group, we may ask them to make a group, a bunch of students. We can ask them to go for some survey and to collect the feedback from the market or from the stakeholders or from the other students. We can ask them to appear in some kind of mock interviews where we which will give them the opportunity for in-depth exploration of student learning and the understandings. Rubrics can also be the another kind of method, assessment method, where we can provide clear criteria for assessment and the feedback. So these are the in general these are the very general practices which most of the universities are focusing. Only thing is that whenever we go for these practices, we must ensure that we are doing everything sincerely, and our students are, and student participation is also must be sincere. Now, personalized instruction, this would also need when we go for implementing the OB in the effective way, because personalized learning is an educational approach that aims to customize learning for each student's strength, needs, skills, and interests. See, in a class, we may have a number of students, and each student would have its own strength, its own weakness, its own needs, its own interest for a particular skills. So we need to customize learning for each and every student. But by doing this way, each student gets a learning plan that based on what they know and how they can learn fast. What would be the key features for personalized instructions? That we can individualize the learning plans. Each student receives the learning plans tailored to the specific needs and learning styles. We can imply it more flexible in nature. Like flexibility is the pace of learning, the method used, and the content covered. This is very important. See, every student has got a different pace of learning. You cannot expect that all the students will learn everything or a particular topic within the same time. So every student has got its own pace of learning. So that is why we need to provide a flexibility in the pace of learning. We cannot expect, okay, I give you the 3 days for all the whole class, and then I ask them to prepare a particular topic. I need to be a bit flexible in terms of, because as a teacher, I must be able to know about the student's weakness and student's strength. And according to this, I should have a flexibility in terms of giving some task. Similarly, the type of method they use and the content to be covered. We need to focus on strength and interest. So every student would have a different kind of strength and different kind of interest. So we need to focus strength and interest for each and every student. It will emphasize leveraging a student's strength and interest to enhance engagement and to motivate them for that particular task. We can also go for the assessment and the feedback. We need to have a regular assessment for each and every student. We also need to give feedback. We should collect the feedback from the student, and also we should give feedback to the students after the assessment, that what we actually feel for that particular student, which student need to uh, put a more concentration on what particular topic of what particular thing. We need to give the feedback to the students on time. We should be able to monitor their progress regularly, and we should adjust instruction as per the needed. And if we are able to implement the personalized instruction in the effective way, the benefits are awesome. Like we can have we will see that students are engagements are increased. We can see that their learning outcomes are also improved, and we can also see that they are more confident before the previous class. So these are the benefit if we are employing the personalized instruction in the effective way. Now we also use this word active learning when we talk about that we should increase or we should enhance the student engagement. So when we say the student engagement, so active learning is the important uh, task within the student engagement. So this active learning can be of different type, like project based learning. We can float some project where the students start working onto the project. First they start to place their mind to think about that project, then they start learning the from some literature how to acquire the knowledge to complete that project. So that actually gives the active learning. The students work on long-term projects that require critical thinking and the problem solving. Similarly, we can have the flipped classrooms. What is the flipped classroom? Where we can say students are asked to complete the readings and watching the lectures at home. Like before I take the class, it would be a good idea if I give them a slides or if I give them some videos and asking them to watch the videos or go through those slides before coming to this class. Like when they will come to the class, they will have some sort of knowledge about the particular thing which I am going to teach them. So that will makes things more easy to understand for them. So that is a flipped classroom can also be a good example for active learning. Then brainstorming is where this teacher and students can brainstorm or discuss or to identify an issue and to create possible solutions. So as a teacher, I may float some idea amongst the students and I can start discussing with them that what could be the solution for these particular issues. So that is also the part of the brainstormings. Then group works, we can divide the students into the groups and where they can discuss a particular issue and they can try to come up with the problem solving task. So this can also be the part of the active learning. So when I am saying active learning means project based learning, flipped classrooms, brainstorming, group works. If when I say project-based learning, that's PBL, it is a kind of teaching method that helps students to learn by working on real-world problem. It's a student-centered approach because here I'm placing the student into the center. I'm giving him a project and then asking him to perform onto the project. So before he start performing onto the project, first he is to learn about the project. He is to learn various theories and various practical aspects to complete the projects. So that will make him feel a kind of ownership. He will be more creative in nature. He will apply more critical thinking, and he may, if needed, he may also go for collaborating with industry or collaborating with other students to complete his own projects. So when we say project-based learning, so these four things we are developing amongst the students. One is the ownership, the second one is the creativity, the third is critical thinking, and the fourth is collaborations. Now, if we differentiate between the traditional learning and the project-based learning, so this slides tell you how the project-based learning is much ahead or much better than the traditional learning. So what we do in the traditional learning, we told them that what need to be learned, because we need to tell them, okay, you need to learn this if you wanted to complete this particular thing. Then they learn the theory and they start solving the problem according to their knowledge. While we say the project-based learning, in project-based learning, we just throw into a problem. We just share an idea to the students. Okay, this is an idea and you should start out working on this. So this is even more important because initially they have to identify the problem, they have to understand the problem, and after understanding the problem, they'll have to find the theories, or they'll have to go through the theories, or they have to find the literature which will be helpful for them to solve the problem. So that will even gives them more opportunity to learn and to apply their knowledge to solve the problem. So this is how we can differentiate between the traditional learning and the project-based learning. So project-based learning, how it works, students works in groups to investigate a complex question or problem. They should apply their skill, whether it is the critical thinking or the project management. They start receiving the feedbacks from peers, the teachers, and the industry partners, and they have more opportunities to revise their work. So that is how the project-based learning works. The benefit of the project-based learning would be that the student would be able to develop creative problem solving skill. They may learn the importance of the collaboration. They can also learn how to find the right tools for the job. They will build the self-confidence and they will develop life skill that will prepare them for the future success. Also, if they are working in the project-based learning, they will be a good employer for the coming future. Then what is a flipped classroom? As this picture shows, there are two types of, one is the traditional where the teachers is taking the lecture and then he's giving some homework to the students. In flipped classroom, the teacher, before taking their class, gives some kind of supply some kind of video material or some sort of literature where the student watch these lectures before coming to the class. That is known as the flipped classrooms. So it is a kind of teaching method that shift learning from the classroom to the outside of it. In this approach, students learn content before the class and use class time to apply it. So that is a very important phenomena that we can actually important technique which we can actually apply within our for our students. So how it works, students are given contents before class such as videos or online lectures. They complete activities like homework or group work in class before coming to the lectures. Then the instructors guide students through in class activities and takes the feedback from the student and use it improve and use it to improve their learning. Benefit would be that the student can learn at their own pace and they can learn more deeply. They will have more opportunity for high level learning, and they can get and give frequent feedback about the topic. Like an example, an instructor might pre-record lectures and post them for students to watch before the class. Similarly, the student might design a course where all contents are delivered through videos, pre-class readings, and the exercises. So these are the important points which we need to keep in the mind while we go for the flipped classrooms. Then brainstorming sessions, a group problem solving techniques that involves coming up with the ideas in response to a prompt. Like we can we can float some ideas to the students. We can discuss with them, and we can ask them to try to come up with the possible solutions. And here we can use the teams to ideation method to encourage new ways of thinking and collectively generate possible solutions. Brainstorming techniques can also be the mind mapping, where we visualize the idea and connection between them, or the brain writing. We may ask them to writing down the ideas before sharing with the team. Write down the ideas, coming up with a solution, and then share with the team. Star busting could also be this, that we float the topic and we ask some important questions like what, when, how, where, why, and who. So we may start with an idea or challenge at the center and create a star around it, and we can raise these questions like what, when, how, who, why, and where. So these are the basic questions which we can float to the student and ask him to come up with the solution or replies with these questions. Then we can also have a round robin where team members are built off each other ideas. The students share these ideas in a round circle. Rapid ideation, where participants write down ideas within a time limits, then evaluate them as a team member. The another thing is very important. We have a techniques that is brainstorming. We may also have a use reverse brainstorming. So in the reverse brainstorming, we are doing the reverse of the brainstorming idea. We are coming up with the ideas and how to make a problem worse instead of solving it. So rather than we ask them to solve it, we will ask them to come up with making it this problem even more worse. So what would be the use of this? This will actually gives them an opportunity to optimize the solution. So sometimes we use the reverse brainstorming also. Like the important steps for the reverse brainstorming could be to identify the problem, to reverse the problem, collect ideas, again reverse the ideas, and then evaluate the solutions. Or we may also go for the SWOT analysis. So SWOT analysis is the strength and the weakness and other external opportunities and threat. So we may also go for SWOT analysis also. So brainstorming, what are the important steps? First, set a time limit, target a problem and goal, no judgment or criticism, because when we are doing the brainstorming, any students come with any kind of idea or any kind of solution, we should not give the judgment immediately, or we should not criticize their ideas or solutions. Let us encourage all ideas. We should allow everyone to have a conversation at a time, one at a time, stay visuals. Then we should motivate them to build on the ideas and aim for the quantity. So these are the very important. So when we go for the brainstorming, the four important points is we need to focus on quantity. We should not do the any criticism. We should even the unusual ideas should also be welcome, and we should combine and improve ideas. So these are the important things. When we are saying focus on quantity, means to greater the number of ideas generated, the greater the chance of producing a radical and effective solutions. When I say no criticism, means instead of immediately stating that what might be wrong within an idea, the participant should focus on extending or adding to it. Similarly, we should open new ways of thinking and provide better solution than regular ideas. And at the last, the approach should lead to better and more complete ideas than merely generating new ideas alone. So when we are going for the brainstorming, we should be ready for any sort of the ideas. Then there is another thing. Rather than having the active learning, we can also adopt other strategy, that is active learning group works, where the students can be work in a group and start doing the active learning all together. So this is a kind of teaching method where students collaborate in small groups to actively engage with learning materials through discussion, the problem solving, the critical thinking, rather than just passively listening to a lecture. And it involves essentially working together in a teams to actively participate in the learning process. Some of the important key points related with the active learning group works are that they start working, that we will see that student engagement has increased. They have also there will be increase in the collaborative and the communication skills among the students. We can also have the diversity in perspective, and we can see that they have started doing the critical thinking more. example think, pair, and share, where the student initially think about a solution for a particular thing, then he shared this, then he discussed this solution with his partner, that is known as the pair, and then after convincing him, both of us then can share with the others. So this is also think, pair, share, that is TPS. They can go for the case studies, they can start having the debates amongst each other, there could be the role playing or even the group projects. So these are the parts of the active learning group works. Now I'll discuss what should be the strategies for effective implementation of OBE. So far we have covered the important aspects of the OBE. What are the important steps? Now, what should be the strategies for effective implementation of OBEs? You may find, as far as my experience is concerned, as part of the NBA teams, I have seen that most of the universities who claim that they are following the OBE principle, but they are actually not, because they have not implemented the OBE principle in an effective way. So to have then what should be the important points for effective implementation of OBE? That we first need to clearly define the desired learning outcomes. That what will be the learning outcomes, what will be the course outcomes, what will be the program outcomes. We should align our curriculum and assessment method directly with these outcomes. We should actively engage students in their learning process. We cannot think a good implementation of OB without having the participation from the important stakeholder, which are students. So we should engage student in these learning processes. We should use diverse assessment strategies to measure achievement. It should not be like that only I am assessing my student, but I should always be open to the external assessment. We should continuously monitor and adjust the curriculum based on the student performance data, while fostering a collaborative environment between the teachers and student. So we must have, if we wanted to have the good implementation or the effective implementation of these, we must follow these important points. The key steps for OBE implementation: first, we need to identify and define learning outcomes. Now, when we say what are the learning outcomes, we need to clearly articulate specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. That is, in short, we can say smart learning outcomes for each course and program level. So for each course, if a university is offering 5 courses and 3 programs, then we need to define the learning items for outcomes for all the 5 courses and all the 3 programs. We need to utilize Bloom's taxonomy to ensure a range of cognitive skills that are addressed. I'm sure that most of you must be knowing about the Bloom's technology. We start from the remember, understand, the apply, the analyze, then evaluate and create. We must prepare our students from bottom to top. Like first, we need to deliver the content in a way that initially they start remembering the topics, then they start understanding about the particular thing, then they start applying their knowledge for a particular, then they should be able to analyze whatever they have applied for a particular application. They should be applicable to analyze and to evaluate the results, and finally to create something from their knowledge. Now, what is a Bloom's taxonomy? It is a framework that categorizes categorically educational goals and objectives, and it was developed by Benjamin Bloom way back in 1956. The purpose and objective for Bloom's taxonomy was to help teachers to discuss and exchange learning and assessment method, and to encourage higher order thought in the students. And we must also be able to create the measurable learning objectives. How it works, how actually the Bloom's taxonomy works in an effective way. We should classify the educational goals into 3 domains, whether the cognitive, affective, and the psychomotor. We should assign a hierarchy of level to each domain. We should use measurable verbs to describe what student must do to demonstrate the learning. And there is a very important fact related with the Bloom's technology. The first version, which was released in 1956 by Benjamin Bloom, was started from the knowledge, comprehensive application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. Earlier, it was revised in early 2000, somewhere around 2001, by David and Lauren Anderson. These were the 2 researchers. They revised this Bloom's technology, and now the present one which we are using everywhere is remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. So the 2001 version is now applicable even in the present days. So if we understand the each and every point, so there are various other terms for each and every layer. Like when we say remember, so means uh, we are able to, the students are able to retaining and the recall information, and that will cover the reiterate, the memorize, the duplicate, repeat, and identity. So identify. So these are the 5 steps which must be in the part of the remember. So when we design our question paper, and when we are asking explain or report on this or describe or summarize, that means we are talking about the second layer, that is understand, that is to grasp the meaning of something. And similarly, when we wanted to check the student knowledge for their apply layer, then we need to, then you can say that, then you can see that the question may start from practice or to calculate or to implement or to operate or use or illustrate. Similarly, for analyze, to check their analytical ability, we need to explore the relationship, the causes, and the connection. We may start with our question with the compare, the contrast, the categorize, the organize, or distinguish. Similarly, to check their evaluate efficiency, evaluate capability, then we need to make judgment based on the sound analysis, like assess, judge, defend, prioritize, critique, or recommend. Similarly, to finally to check their ability, if they have got the knowledge according to, and they are being able to create something, we need to use existing information to make something new, like invent, develop, or design, compose, generate, or construct. So this is how we can apply the Bloom's taxonomy through our questions also, where we can check their ability to remember, to understand, to apply, to analyze, to evaluate, and to create. Now, next is the curriculum design. I'm talking about the effective strategies, or the strategies to effective implementation OBE. So we must able to structure the curriculum around the achieving the defined learning outcomes. So first is to define the learning outcomes. Then to structure the curriculum, which should be mapped with the learning outcomes. We must have the aligned teaching method and the learning activities within the desired outcomes. Similarly, we need to integrate the real world application and relevant case studies to enhance the learning engagement. We also develop some assessment techniques, like to develop assessment tools that directly measure the student achievements of learning outcomes. We may utilize a variety of assessment methods, like portfolios. Portfolios is a kind of assessment method where we ask the student to come up with a summary, like what sort of projects or what sort of training they have gone through in last semester. So they come up with the portfolios. Then we may ask the relevant questions from their portfolios only. Then another way of assessment method could be the presentation, the project based. We may ask them to present some case studies or performance based tasks alongside the traditional tests. Traditional tests are like we are taking the midterm tests or end term exams. These are different. But other than these, we must utilize the different assessment method, like portfolios, the presentations, the projects, the case studies, and the other things. Then we must employ rubrics for consistent and transparent evaluation. And at each and every part of the evaluation or assessment method, we must give the exchange the feedback between the students with the students also. That is also very important, that each and every student for at a particular at the end of the particular assessment method should get the feedback from the teachers about his strength and about his weaknesses also. We must also follow the student-centered learning if we wanted to implement the OBE in a most effective way. We must encourage our students to go for active learning strategies like collaborative projects, discussion, and inquiry-based learning. We must provide them opportunities to self-assess their progress and to take ownership of their learning. Then the important part, which usually people are actually not following seriously, which as part of the member of the NBA team, I have observed at various universities and various institutions that the people are actually not very sincere for feedback and continuous improvement. That everyone should provide timely and every student must get the timely and constructive feedback, and we must provide them the feedback to the student to guide their learning. We must regularly review the student performance data to identify areas for the curriculum adjustment and improvements. Now, some of the important other consideration which are very much important for the universities and the institutes if they wanted to implement the OBE principle effectively. Number one is the faculty training. We must ensure that all faculty are adequately trained in OBE principles and assessment strategies. Every faculty member must know about the OBE principle and how to and the assessment strategies which are being adopted by the university. Similarly, there must be a communication and transparency within the systems. We must clearly communicate learning outcomes to the students as well, because they are the important stakeholder for any university systems at the beginning of each course. So at the beginning of each course, we must communicate the learning outcomes or the course outcome to the students well on time and before the course beginning of the course. Then technology integration. We must be able to utilize the technology tools. These days, it's a very we are living in a very technological era where the technology has kept on changing every moment. So we must utilize the technology tools to facilitate the learning activities, to track the student progress, and to deliver personalized feedbacks. There are various technology tools which are available as an open source web-based sources like Google Classroom, Digital Literacy, ED Puzzle, Quizlets, and there are many. So we must use the technological tool to facilitate the learning activities amongst the students. Now, if we are able to implement the OBE effectively, what would be the instant benefit we will see amongst our stakeholder, whether we are talking about the students or we are talking about the teachers? We will see the improved accountability, which will provide clear measure to assess the student progress and the program effectiveness. We can see there will be a focus on student-centered learning, priorities students' achievements of specific skills and knowledge rather than just content delivery. We will see the student engagement. It will promote the active learning and the students' ownership of their own learning processes. Relevant learning, it will encourage the integration of real-world application and the practical skills and enhance employability, which is also a very important task for the university, because as part of the university system, we must ensure that our graduates should be employable. They should get the jobs at the time of they receive their degree. So if we are implementing the OBE effectively, it will enhance the employability also. Graduates are better prepared for professional roles by demonstrating their practical skills and competencies relevant to which are more relevant to the industry. Similarly, so these are the points. So I have covered some of the facts related to the OBE, some of the strategies which are necessary to implement the OBE in a university system. And now the last part of my presentation is related with the case studies. Now, case studies, once you have applied once you have adopted the outcome-based education, you should be able to do study on your own system. Every alternate year, you should do the exercise where you can find whether the OBE is actually implemented in the best possible way in your institute and whether the expected benefit you are achieving or not. So for this, we need to focus on real world examples of how institutions have implemented OBE principle in a specific course or particular program. We need to analyze the process of defining clear learning outcomes, whether the process are being followed clearly, whether the course outcomes or the program outcomes or the program educational goals outcomes have been defined in a clear-cut manner, whether they have designed the curriculums which is aligned to those outcomes, whether they are utilizing the appropriate assessment method or not, whether these assessment methods are capable to measure students' achievement with the goal of demonstrating improvements in students' learning and program effectiveness. So these are the important steps which must be utilized to do some case studies, whether in your own university systems or with some partner university systems. Like some of the examples I can say, like in engineering education, let us focus about a particular course that is digital signal processing. So how do we do the case studies onto this? We need to analyze how the university engineering department implemented the OB, whether they have defined the course outcomes clearly or not, whether their teaching methods are aligning with their outcomes, course outcomes or not, and also whether they have utilized project-based assessment to evaluate the student ability to apply concept in real world scenario. If they are following all these points, that means they are implementing the OBE effectively. Similarly, if our university system is providing the business education, let's say if they are offering some MBA programs, so we again can check our effectiveness of the OBE by examining how an MBA program restructures its curriculum, whether they have focused on specific business skills or competencies the student should acquire. including the case studies and simulations to assess students' ability to apply knowledge in practical situations. So these are the two examples for doing the case studies. Now there are some key aspects to consider when analyzing OBE case studies. When we go for outcome-based education case studies, to analyze them, we need to check what is the outcome development, how's the curriculum was designed, what were the assessment strategies used, and what type of data analysis and feedback loops being used. So in outcome development, how were the learning outcomes, whether the learning outcomes clearly defined or not, whether they are aligned with the program goals or not, including the cognitive, psychomotor, and affective domains. Similarly, when we talk about the curriculum design, then the question must arise: how was the course structures and the teaching methods designed? Whether these structures are directly support the achievements of stated learning outcomes or not. When we go for to analyze the assessment strategies, we need to check whether the assessment methods were used to measure students' attainment of learning outcomes or not, including the formative and summative assessment, which, when I'm saying the formative and summative assessment, mean their end-term results. Similarly, how to analyze the data analysis and feedback loop. Then in that case, we need to check whether the student performance or data which was used to identify areas for improvement and to inform future curriculum modification was actually used or not in a most effective way. Similarly, other important points to consider when studying OB case studies: we need to check the context matters, we need to implement challenges, we need to check the impact on student learning. So when we go for the context matters, we need to check whether we need to analyze the specific context of the institutions, about the program and the student population to understand the unique challenges and adaptation of the OBE approach. Similarly, for implementation challenges, we need to explore potential obstacles encountered during OBE implementation, because as part of the university system, when you are implementing the OBE, every university or every systems must face some sort of the obstacles, whether these obstacles are from the teachings community, or whether faculty side, or whether from the non-teaching side, or whether even from the student side, or even from the some government policies. We need to check the potential obstacles, such as the faculty resistance to change, or even for the need for robust assessment system. So we need to consider before applying the OBE case studies that what are the implementation challenges. Similarly, impact on student learning. We need to evaluate the effectiveness of OBE in improving student learning outcomes and their ability to apply knowledge in real world situations. If we are not able to improve the ultimately the any university systems can analyze its performance by checking the effectiveness of OBE in terms of the students' performance. If we are not able to enhance the student performance in coming years, that means there is something wrong, or we need to make some changes in our OBE strategies. Now, as part of the case study, I would like to give you an idea, or I would like to enlighten with a particular practice which is being done by the Amrita University. It's somewhere in the south. It's a part of a case study that live-in labs. So they have created a kind of course structure which they have given the name live-in labs, which is a 3 credit elective course, and it is an elective course, not the compulsory, but it is an elective course for the 5th sem and 6th sem from the BTech stream. So all the students, whether they are studying the electronics, the computer science, or anything from the BTech side, whenever they are in the 5th semester or 6th semester, they've been asked to choose one of the course from their elective list, in which this live-in labs is also another. It's a very interesting course, and for this course, they have defined clear-cut course objectives. The number one is to understand the principle of human-centered design, participatory rural appraisals, sustainable change agents, ethnographic action research, and user need assessment. The second course objective for this particular course is to learn the various tools, the techniques, and templates to identify the challenges in the villages, such as field or villages, or the remote locations, such as field and reflective journals, quantitative and qualitative data collections, representations, and analysis. And the third, which is a very important one, the course objective for this particular course is to design a sustainable technological intervention for the identified challenges. So initially they identify the challenges which are with the villages or the people associated with the remote location. Then they have to come up with a design, a sustainable technological intervention for the identified challenges, and to produce document in terms of reports, research papers, and the posters. So these are the three important course objectives they have designed. They have designed for their living labs. So in terms of the learning outcomes, the good thing with this particular course that in terms of the learning outcome, every single PO is covered through the COs of the program. Means all program objectives. If you go through the NBA standard POs, NBA defines somewhere around 12 POs, which is specified the NBA, especially for the engineering. So according to this particular course, all the COs are somewhere are met with all the POs, mean all the POs are covered. This is unlike situation where usual and regular technical courses where at best few POs are covered, but this particular course covered all the POs. And they have also created a kind of evaluation pattern, and they have classify this pattern in various classes like workshop or the group participation. They give some marks, then they give some marks to the students for village visit assignments and reports, then to identify if they are able to or capable to identify some problem and assessment, then again they get some marks for ideation, defining the needs, propose design and review, then again they get some marks. If they are able to come up with some kind of poster presentation onto the solution, then they get some more good mark. And if they are able to come up with some kind of research paper submission, then even they get good marks. So they have designed this level labs in such a way that the students go through these steps and can get the marks for each steps. Now, they have also done the impact analysis for this particular, and I have got this data from their websites only. One of the article published by, or one of the blog published by this university only, they have done the impact analysis also. So live-in labs, they have added to the curriculum for the UG program as and UG and PG program as an elective of 3 credits. And the important thing that by you with this course, they have attracted participation of students from other premier global universities like John Hopkins Universities from USA, State University of New York from USA, University of Manchester, UK, then a university from Canada, university from Japan, and university from Netherlands and Switzerland also. So students from various universities, which I have just mentioned in these slides, taken from their university websites only, that they are getting the students for this particular course from various universities all across the globe. And since 2013, on an average, annually around 500 students who are studying with the Amrita University and 200 students from foreign universities are availing this particular electives. So that is how they have created a course which is actually attracting the participation from the foreign universities also. So that is a good example of how the OBE can be implemented in a university system, which will actually benefits not only your students but the students from the other universities also. And one of the outcome for this particular course was that their students were able to come up with innovative and interdisciplinary engineering solutions. Like some of the examples is they have created the modular water distribution systems, smokeless cook stoves. They have come up with the educational kit for women to empower in sanitation, rural electrifications using solar power, microgrids, biofilters for water purification. And there were many examples. I have not noted down all the examples here, but if you go through their report, you will find that their students were able to come up with many innovative and interdisciplinary engineering solutions, because this course was not limited to a particular stream. But this course they have offered as an elective for all the streams, whether the students are from computer science, whether the students are from electronics or from electrical or from mechanical or even from civil, because all these streams will have some sort of a solution for the problems faced by the village people or the people who are residing in the remote locations. So with this case study, I will now come to the last few slides. And with these slides, I would like to share my experience, which I have observed in various universities as part of my as part of the visit of NBA teams. That what are the institutional weaknesses, what are the student weaknesses which are common in nature all across the university or in some universities. Some of the universities might not be having the all, but but at least some of the points they are also having the weaknesses, like limited resource. When I'm talking about the limited resource in terms of the finance, in terms of the supporting staff, in terms of the supporting faculty, in terms of the supporting R&D labs. Student support gaps are there. I do find that their faculties are also facing challenges in terms of their training, in terms of their promotion, in terms of their salary. outdated curriculum. Some of the universities are following the outdated curriculums, lack of interdisciplinary approach. This is a very important point, and which I might, which you will find that most of the universities are lacking in this. That there is a lack of interdisciplinary approach amongst the students. Inadequate infrastructures are is actually is not common with all the universities, but many universities are still having inadequate infrastructure because they have increased the seats, they have got the number of students more as per the infrastructures available. The first generation learners, that is the students who comes into the first year, uh, the students are not following the effective strategies to make them learn about the approach they are using as part of their OBE program. Then some of the student weaknesses which are very common amongst the universities. Some of the students are lacking in academics and communication skills, while their mark sheets are showing good grades. Time and stress management is also not available with the students. They are some of the students are lacking the motivation and confidence, and also the transition to the university lives when they come from the school, and when they so the transition to the university lives, they're not able to adopt it very quickly. The budgeting or the financing could also be another problem which create the weaknesses among the students. Then there are some other important weaknesses with some particular institution or the universities if they are located at the rural locations. If the universities or the institutions are located at the rural location or at remote areas, these universities or institutions are facing different kind of challenges, like limited industry. So because of this limited industry, institute interactions is also very limited, and the rural location reduces opportunities for the students also. Then limited scope of research and consultancy opportunities, limited financial resources. Even if the universities or the institutions are remotely located or located in a rural background, then the students would find a limited hostel or accommodation facilities, limited presence of international students. Most of the students are actually, these days the students are more motivated or more attracted by the universities or institutions which are situated in the big cities. High potential of faculties also not reflected. Requirement of incubation center to create startup ecosystems. These are also the challenges for the universities which are located in remote locations. Diversity students group and rural background is a challenge to bridge the gaps. Interaction and involvement of industry experts. Usually, they do find difficulty to invite the experts or the people from the industry to deliver the lectures or the talks or the motivational speech for their students because of their location into the remote places. Inadequate granted aid. Retention of faculty is another problem because most of the faculty members, they would also like to have their good life, so they're also willing to relocate to the universities which are situated in the big cities. So lack of permanent teaching staff is also another institutional challenges with the rural locations. Other challenges like attracting the international students, student response for social and skill development activities, development their pride areas, and changes in the market demand and skills. Then what could be the solution for now these are the challenges which are faced by the many universities. What could be the solution? That every university must do the SWOT analysis, and that is they should able to check on their strength, what are the weaknesses, what are the opportunities available, and how do they face the challenge, and what are the possible solutions for their challenges. Then until unless, because no one is going to provide these things, even the only the university system or the people responsible to manage the university system, they must do these four steps: strength, weakness, opportunities, and challenges. They must work upon this and to try to come up with the best possible solution for that particular universities. So now my last 2 or 3 slides are related with the India 2030. That where do we see our country in another next 4 5 years, where we can have the vision of assessment and creating a skilled nation. So our citizen and cycle. But again, this is not possible without regular assessment. Also, our youth should be able to acquire customized learning and skilling plans to keep up with keep up with constant technological changes in the economy, and we can employ assessment to ascertain the gaps in youth skills and plug them accordingly. Similarly, we should be able to assess the data which can help assessors align their learning objective assessment evidence and teaching learning studies. Furthermore, everyone should be able to analyze their instruction quality and introspect on their practices to make the necessary amendment to better suit them to the current. We should be able to adopt the changes, because changes will be the only constant in the digital economies of the world. Hence, this will be an era of lifelong learning equally for our youth and teachers and assessors. Similarly, we should have the authentic and meaningful assessment, and it should be the foundation that drives our education policies, vision, digital infrastructures development, and curriculum planning. So, if we wanted to go for a better India, which will be better India in 2020, we must focus on these points. So, with this, I stop my presentations, and I would like to take your attention to the important articles or the blogs or some of the website which I also gone through to prepare these slides, because at the end of my presentation, I would also like to extend my sincere thanks to all the authors of various articles or the blogs or their slides which are available onto the website. With the help of those articles and the blogs or some websites, I created this PDF on this particular topic. I have mentioned some of the important websites or the blogs or the papers onto the reference page on this page. You are welcome to go through these slides. You will find even more information, and I would request you all, if you have, whenever you get time, please do visit these websites and try to strengthen your knowledge about the OBE principle in more depth. Thank you very much. With this, I end the presentation, and this is the pictorial view of my institutes. You can connect with us. The websites and our department link is given over on the top of it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Dr. Sandeep. So if you have any question, you can always ask.
हेलो सर।
संदीप, मेरा हो गया है, कोई क्वेश्चन तो पूछ लो।
ओके सर, कुसुम मैम इज कनेक्टेड। आई थिंक मुझे एक अर्जेंट थोड़ा मीटिंग में डायरेक्टर,
तो आप उनको बोल दीजिए, है ना? फिर मैं इसको एंड करूं सेशन को या वेट करूं?
हाँ सर, मैं बस कुसुम मैम के पास जा रहा हूँ।
ओके।
Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, madam, I can listen to you. If
Okay.
you please ask the participant if there is any question, I would be happy to answer.
Okay, I've got one now. Just now only I got one. So question is, let me just check it once again. So question is placement issue due to the employability skill gap. We have autonomous institute as well as technological universities. Apart from that, IITs, NITs, and IIITs are available. Then how? So this question is coming from Dr. Ruikar, SG Ruikar.
Okay. So placement issues due to them.
So,
Madam, Dr. Ruchika, thank you for raising this question. It's a very important question. If I am well understood your question, you are talking about that since we are having a good number of IITs, good number of NITs, or even the triple IITs, why there is a employability skill gap still especially for the placement issues. So what I'm saying is, I was initially on the very first slide, I talked about the NASSCOM report. That report was released way back in 2011. and up to when they released that report, they considered the placement drive even done by the IITs and NITs. At the time, IIITs were very, very less. Only few IIITs were started, but they considered most of the IITs and NITs placement, whichever the NITs and IITs and NITs were existing at the time. And according to that report, only 25% students were able to get the employment. Those who were interested to go into the IT jobs. So your question is related with the how they were facing the skill gaps when they are coming out from the IITs and NITs. Even so, madam, I would like to take your attention to this, that they have not said that all the students. They said that the 25% students are employable, and most of those 25% data were actually those who were able to got the job in IT domains were mostly from the IITs and NITs only. But even then, not all students from IITs and NITs, even on today, are actually having the skills to get into employed with the IT domain. It's not because the students are studying in IITs and NITs and they will have the equal opportunity. Still, we are lacking somewhere where, because we get the students from all domains. It's not that we get the students from the cities only. We are getting the students from the rural backgrounds also. So we need to make changes. So next question is, yes, today's IIT Bombay placement is 50%. So see, madam, so there are two aspects. One is whether our students are eligible to employable, and the second is whether the market is driven to employ these students. So these days we are facing both the problem. Earlier we were facing the problem that we are not preparing the students which are skilled enough to get placed. Number one. The second problem is with the market driven. These days you can see there are news in all across the globe that the placements are reducing because of there is an economic slowdown in most of the big countries where most of our IT students were going to place. So this placement, which is somewhere around 50% in IIT Bombay, is perfectly correct. I have also gone through these reports, but these are related with the two aspects. One is the there is a skill gap amongst with some of the student, and the second one is our market is also not going through the economic slowdown these days. Any other question?
Online participants, do you have any other questions? Please write it there in the chat box. Okay, so Dr. Ruikar thanks you, Ghanshyam sir, and agreeing also what you have said in your explanation. And I don't see any more questions coming here from the online participants. So with this, we come to the session, and I would like to thank each and everyone present here for this FDP and Professor Ghanshyam Singh at the same time. Thank you so much, sir. Actually, we were waiting here for you at LNO IIT.
Yeah, I was also very much excited to visit your institute and to deliver the talk physically, and even it would be it would have been good for me also to interact with your faculty members, but maybe the next time. Today I got some personal homework from my family, so I need to do it before that.
Yes, yeah. Actually, yes, I came to know about that you had got some urgent work, so you could not come. Yes. We would be waiting for you maybe sometime next time.
Yeah, I congratulate you all to choose the very good topic, because these days we as the faculty members, we all are the faculty members, whether we are associated with the IITs, NITs, or the LMITs or any other institute. We must follow the OBE principle in the more sincere way, because this is actually going to enhance the student skill, as well as the ultimately the more effective we'll be able to produce the engineering graduates if we are following the OBE principle sincerely.
Right.
Yeah.
To follow that, a lot of learning has gone through during this FDP. good speakers, including you, very good speakers have come and agreed in such short notice. We are very much thankful for that. Although notice was very short and it was like a very late kind of thing, like when we see the approval matter and the planning and all, when it comes to the financial year. But since we got the approval, so we had to go through it, and then please excuse us. We given you a little short time. We could have given you longer if we would have got this approval a little earlier. That didn't happen, but I hope you will excuse with that.
No
And
issue.
and maybe next time in future we'll inform you well in advance so that everything is going smooth and we are able to execute it in that way. Thank you so much, Professor Ghanshyam Singh, for joining us for this FDP. All participants have really enjoyed, which I could see and sense out during the FDP. It was really fruitful interaction. All of them, all participants very enthusiastically interacted with all the speakers, and which personally, I would like to thank each and every participants present here online. And Professor Ghanshyam Singh, thank you so much for joining us here. Okay, all participants, with this enlightening talk, we come to the end of this FDP, and hope to see you soon at some other venue, at some other platform, and maybe we'll be interacting again. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you very much for
Thank you.
all the
Thank you.
participants and all the organizing team members. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, everyone. So with this, we close now this FDP and hope to see you all at some other point in time. So EICT, MNIT, would you like to speak out something about? Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Ashwani. Thank you, Ruika. Yeah, thank you, everyone. So with all your due permission, I would like to close the portal. Thank you, Dr. Manoj. Thank you, Bharat. Thank you, Dr. Bharat. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. With all your permission, with your due permission, now I would like to close the session. See you all sometime again. Thank you, everyone.